Love that.
Perfecto. Okay. So many people interested in SEO today. We have 400-ish signups, so pretty big crowd. The thing that we noticed, and we love when this happens, a lot of people sign up for the first time to exclusive webinars. So, old tradition, if you are here for your first exclusive webinar, please do not be shy. You are in good company. Please go to the questions box and introduce yourself. Just, what's your name? What company are you dialing in from? Just love to get to know people a little. And we do a webinar every 2 weeks. So come back, ask questions. If you introduce yourself, you won't worry so much about asking a question or two that might really help your business. So Amanda from Hughes Fire Equipment. Oh, awesome. You got to check that website out. Thank you, Amanda. Welcome. Who else is new here? I mean, I can see a lot of names that I've never seen before, but we never call people out. A bunch of people just joined in like the last second, so that's going to happen. We're going to start at 2:02 because from 2 o'clock to 2:02, we're probably going to end up getting 70% of the people to sign in. Rebecca from Chocolate Shop Ice Cream. Oh boy. What a great name. Yeah. I gotta go there too as well. I kind of want to do live SEO analyses right now. How about this, guys? If we get through the content fast enough today, we'll do maybe 10 minutes of live SEO audits. Who knows? Got Maddie from Resharp Knife Sharpening. Very cool. Thank you for joining, Maddie. Folks, so many of you just dialed in and you're wondering why are we chit-chatting? It's 2:01 because we're going to get started at 2:02 because everyone is just struggling with GoToWebinar right now trying to get in, so in a few minutes. But we're also asking if this is your first exclusive webinar, introduce yourself. And when I say first, I mean, I've been doing this for every 2 weeks for 14 years. So, jump on in. There's history in the making right now, but we ask if it's your first exclusive webinar, just, go ahead and say hello. Tell us your name and what company you're dialing in from. And Amanda and Rebecca and Maddie just said hello. So everyone else is being a little bashful, no big deal. It is 2:02. We got a lot to cover. So we're going to talk about 4 SEO tweaks to transform Q4 sales. And yeah, we left this a little ambiguous. I mean, whose tweaks? Is it Google's tweaks? Is it your tweaks? It's actually half and half. 2 of the tweaks are reactively responding to something Google tweaked in their system. And the other 2 tweaks are things that you can tweak to get prepared for Q4. So before we do that, the quickest introduction we've ever done. We work in e-com. Emerging brands trust us. Established brands trust us. Here's a handful of established brands that you probably trust that also trust us. And we are always excited to be part of the rich e-commerce tapestry. Marketing Agency of the Year for Big Commerce this year. When we were really heavily using BrightEdge, we were Digital Marketing Partner of the Year 2 years ago. Now we're using SEMrush a little bit more. We are Google Ads' largest ad spend managers on the East Coast. We were also their first agency in their program, which is pretty cool. We're Klaviyo's top partner. So if it has e-commerce in it, we're probably pretty well connected. My name is Nick Rajpal, and if you've been here for more than 2 minutes, you heard me say that I've been doing our webinar series about every 2 weeks for 14 years. I joined the company 14 years ago to convert our business from SEO projects and development projects to retainer services. So I launched our SEO retainer program, Google Ads program, conversion testing, email, Amazon, helped build out our strategy team and philosophy. And after doing that till we went from about, 6 employees to about 40 employees, I moved on to just working with net new customers, trying to figure out what their strategy should be. If we are going to be your agency and we can do all this amazing cross-channel marketing, where should we start and what should we do? And part of the reason I could make that switch is because the departments themselves were under the careful guidance and care of much smarter people like Rebecca.
Thank you, Nick, for that kind of introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Antonellis. I'm the VP of SEO and owned media at Exclusive. I've been here for 11 years, which is crazy and awesome. I oversee our SEO, conversion testing, email, SMS, and content departments. So, work with a handful of clients, but really am working to grow those departments and make sure our strategy methodologies are all up to snuff. We're giving you guys the best quality that you can get.
Awesome. And Rebecca, I'm going to do one quick thing here, which is to give you shared mouse controls. Sorry, folks, we have to do this live. We can't do it before, but okay, it's working. Awesome. So really quick, what are we going to cover today? So we said there's 4 tweaks. Here's the tweaks. First is a tweak that Google has rolled out just in the last few months. It's a product structured data update. Basically, the search engine ranking pages now have some elements on them that will drive a lot more sales. And the organic search team didn't want to be cut out of all the amazing utility of Google Shopping. Why can't they also have those amazing engagement rates? They basically brought a lot of what you see from Google Shopping, even better, into the organic side. You just need to optimize for it. So it couldn't be more exciting. For those of you that know the impact of Google Shopping, Smart Shopping, Performance Max, this is kind of like that moment for organic. Helpful content update. Not very different from Panda, but this is Google's new crack at trying to identify the most possibly likely created by humans content out there. And if you likely created this by humans for humans, then why don't we reward you site-wide? It's this big site-wide penalty or boost. Okay, those are their tweaks. We're going to talk about responding. Now, what about tweaks you can do? So proactive tweaks for Q4. First one is SEO holiday prep. Your website's out there. Google likes to crawl it. Google likes to rank you for keywords. Don't you want to rank for some holiday keywords? What do you do to make it as effective as possible? That's that part. The fourth part is just a fun intersectionality conversation. As cross-channel marketers, we're always thinking about how we can organize kind of overlap or intersectionality between our email, SMS, SEO, SEM, and UX. And we're going to talk a little bit about how those all converge. But specifically in this case, we just want to get to Google Ads and SEO, some Performance Max new updates that require better SEO that people have not talked about, and then also some technology that we built to help us coordinate. So before we go into that, hopefully those 4 tweaks and changes made sense. Just a quick poll. Which one of these changes are you likely to prioritize? Knowing the very little that we've just covered, is it optimizing so that you get some of those product structure rankings? Is it to correct or be prepared for more content update? Is it to launch some holiday sections for your website that drive free SEO traffic? especially if your cost per acquisitions have been tough? Or is it using SEO to ease Google Ads costs just specifically down to Google Ads overlap? And you can choose multiple. We're trying to get a sense of where the mass group is. So let's close this out in 3, 2, 1. Wow, this is interesting. Okay, so the 51% said helpful content update. That's the area you are hoping to make some tweaks in. Interesting. 47% product structure data. So a lot of this is responding to Google's updates, and roughly 35% of you want to do something proactive, either updating your sections for some free holiday traffic, or doing a little bit of SEO to make your Google Ads costs go down. So great, thank you guys. Good thing we structured it this way, because basically we're taking the most popular sections first. SB has asked, are we going to receive a handout page notes of this presentation? Yeah, everyone's going to get a PDF copy of this presentation and a recording. Let's dive right in. Rebecca, can you kind of lead us on the product structure data update?
I can. Yeah, so number one, we want to just talk about some of the changes that Google has made to their structured data around product markup. This isn't an update in the traditional SEO sense of the algorithm, but it's more of a change of how they are viewing and who they are allowing to add this markup and be eligible for these result types. So what they did is they announced mid-September that they were making these changes. But we noticed some of these changes starting to roll out much sooner in early July. If you've been doing searches for your products, you've probably noticed that the popular products carousels are everywhere now. And we can see here from this image from an apparel client that really took off in July and has only continued to grow. So that was one thing that was interesting, and they're allowing more people to be eligible for that visibility. Oh, the delay.
No, just really quick, because I know this is like tricky to see, but basically this is the percentage going towards organic, and those are just normal listings, and that percentage shrunk. And this was the percentage going towards popular products, and that increased like 3-fold and keeps widening. So the percentage of space in SERPs is just going through these popular products.
Yeah, so what that's saying is that organic listings show up 100% of the time, but now we're seeing popular products show up, almost half the time. So that's a big increase. So with these updates, Google talked about 2 different types of the markup and the result types that you can be eligible for. We'll also show you they updated their reporting and search console so you can track your visibility for these. The first is the product snippets and search results. So, since forever, they've always relied on structured data to get that star rating, to get the reviews, the pricing, the in-stock availability. Before this update, only sites that sold the product were eligible for these. People still kind of tried to skirt around the rules and, add that markup to review sites and things like that. Google made this change and was like, hey, now people who sell products as well as those doing individual product reviews are eligible for this markup type. Will it affect your site? Maybe not directly, but what we think is going to happen is that it's going to create some more noise within the search engine results pages so that, you're not the only one with that star listing. There can be those review sites that have that markup as well. So something to keep an eye on and make sure that it is validating in Google and that you actually are getting that markup where it makes sense on your site. And then the second category that they gave us some more information on was the merchant listing experiences. So these aren't new, but they did add new reporting that allows us to see how we are visible for these result types. And they also were a little bit more specific about the different markup types within the product schema that make you eligible for these results. And so now, whereas this was only available to those of you who had a Google Merchant Center feed, now anyone who has structured data on their pages can be eligible for popular products results, shopping knowledge panels, Google Images, all those result types. So a couple examples, in case you're not sure exactly what these look like. Product snippets, you can see here, you have the ratings for the tablecloth, the price, free delivery, in stock, all of that. And then the example underneath with the black background is actually an example of what those review sites look like. So whereas these don't actually sell the product, they're just doing a singular review of the item, that's what that markup will look like now in search result pages. And then for popular products, this is what that carousel looks like. It takes up a lot of room. You just want to give Google as much data as possible so you can be eligible for these result types in case people are browsing. It really does, they show up a lot for the super broad, high volume queries that people are looking for. And then a shopping knowledge panel. So this is important for individual products. If you're a reseller, make sure you have that structured data so that you have the opportunity to appear within that shopping knowledge panel that appears on the right side of desktop results. And then Google Images, of course, they've been doing this for a while. The shoppable product images, and this is just what that looks like and what you might see more of in the search result pages.
Yeah, so if some of this sounds really familiar, it's because Google did a not so great job of trying to push something very similar in April of 2020. They launched a program called Google Surfaces, and does anyone know what Surfaces is? No. They just launched this in the middle of the pandemic. No one talked about it. But when they launched it, they basically said, we're going to have all these same features, but you can basically put 5 fields worth of data in your HTML markup. And if you really want to have a lot of rich data used in this program for surfaces, you have to use a merchant feed. And they gave you like 20 plus different variants that you could add in there. Now that they're saying you don't need a feed, just do the markup, it actually changes things. It's so much easier. And they're being more creative than ever before. They want you to talk about things like ratings, pros and cons, availability. They want you to get into those details because they realize that's what's going to create high click-through rate. We've already seen that from clients where just adding something as simple as reviews into their markup has increased their click-through rate, and that's just free sales. When you start to think about the breadth of opportunity here, you want to go to, there's a field section in Google's markup guide that shows how many different HTML markup fields you could possibly use. And if you think back to like 2013, when you went into Google shopping for the first time, if you were listening to the right people, then you probably heard this over and over again. Fill out as many fields as you can. Use color, use pattern, use material in your shopping feed. Why? Because Google prefers more data, not less data. Same situation here. If you know all the fields that you could potentially use them. You're worried about your page load slowing down? Does it matter if no one can find it? This is going to help you guys get more visibility. And if you don't know where to start, everyone's going to get a PDF copy of this. Just click on this Code Labs section. This was documented by Lizzie Sassman at Google. It's just a quick tutorial on how to use your full markup especially for product pages.
Cool. And then last, I mentioned earlier that Google did update the reporting capabilities within Search Console. So here you can see under the shopping results, you have your product snippets and your merchant listings. And it will just show you here how many products you have eligible for these result types. And if you were to scroll down, it'll tell you, what the error is and give you more information on how to fix it. There's a good question from Eric in the chat asking if we already have a feed going to Merchant Center, is there a big change we need to make to our strategy? It's a good question. I haven't seen cases where with the feed, you can then see that report within Search Console. Search Console seems to only be pulling from the site itself. So I would still recommend having that structured data markup on the site itself so that you can monitor your performance and your eligibility within the organic product result types in Search Console. Yeah, and I think you can get a little more creative too. You could probably test adding and removing certain fields on the site versus your feed. The only area that it might cause issues is just make sure what you have on your site matches what's in your feed, because we've seen issues when there's discrepancy between the on-site markup and then the feed information that's being sent to Merchant Center. And now we'll talk about the helpful content update. So Google rolled this out. Let me go to the next slide. August 18th. And when they announced it, it really sounded like they were kind of targeting sites using AI content. The more Nick and I talked, the more we're like, this is basically Panda again, but they just couldn't call it Panda again. But really, they're just looking to make sure that when users come to the site, that they can find content that's helpful. Panda originally targeted poorly written content. This seems to be looking more at structure, quality, and like the user experience on the page, which is interesting. It's kind of exciting to see the next evolution of the next great content update. But really what they're looking for with this is they're looking at for patterns associated with content that they believe is written for search engines. So they crawl the web, they see sites that perform well, and then they see how users interact with those sites and can kind of make the connections between whether that content is really helpful or if it's not. So that's what they're looking for, sites writing content just for SEO. And if Google sees that your site has more unhelpful content than it has helpful, it's going to be more of a site-wide quote unquote penalty, not an actual penalty, but just an algorithmic penalty that may set you back and not allow you to rank as well as you have or rank as well in the future. So just know that like this does hurt the entire site. So the more unhelpful content you have, the bigger the impact you're going to see. So you shouldn't just necessarily focus on the pages that saw the biggest hit. You're also going to want to look at your site as a whole and kind of ask those questions across blog pages, category pages, product pages. And like we've seen in the years past with Panda, recovery is hard, and you may need to wait for a future update to see the work that you've put in pay off. So don't think that this is something you can just kind of check the box in 3 months and be like, oh, I fixed my content. It is an ongoing thing. Part of Google's algorithm is they want to see that that ongoing work is being put into a site to make it better for users.
Yeah, and part of the reason that Google rolls out site classifiers slowly like Panda is because every time they roll it out, they need to do a lot of back testing to make sure that the entire sites that are helped or hurt make sense. And they do typically have a list of sites that they already, as humans, have determined are high quality or low quality. They want to see that the tweaks in their algorithm are actually benefiting the ones that they want to see benefited and hurting the ones that they think should be hurt. So they just take time in between those and do a lot of prep work. But what are they prepping on? Like, what's guiding them? When Panda came out, Amit Singhal and Matt Cutts did a Wired.com interview on behalf of Navneet Banda, who's Panda. And they started to talk about what Panda was looking for. It wanted to target shallow prose-like content, wanted to reward deep, comprehensive content, magazine-worthy content. These are quotes from the Wired article. We saw over the course of the subsequent 11 years of Panda's iterations that was the vision, and the vision did not waver. So understanding the vision behind Google's changes is really helpful. Here's their gold standard for the helpful content update. You have an existing or intended audience that would find the content useful. What might that mean for you? That might mean that you actually want to call out or use phraseology around who your buyer is. If it's parents, you don't mention parents, and you're just talking about kids' swing sets. You may have missed part of the gold standard. Does your content clearly demonstrate first-hand experience? This could be phraseology like our opinion, in our estimation, what we saw, here's some tips. After reading the content, will someone feel like they've learned enough about a topic to achieve a goal? And will they basically have a feeling of satisfaction? The easiest way for Google to know this is, Are people clicking on the link and then going back to search to find more information because they didn't feel satisfied? It's like eating a big meal. If you're satisfied, you don't need dessert. So that's what they're looking for. Specifically, they're going to use a lot of counterbalances to that, a lot of negative things. So is your website over-optimized? Using Panda's rules of over-optimization, they might guide us on this. So Panda's rules of over-optimization is you kept things really short, you use the same keywords a few times. Penguin, which rolled out April 2012, their version of over-optimization was, did you stuff keywords in a sentence separated by commas, concatenation of keyword strings? Did you use the same keyword over and over again, title, H, body? That's over-optimization or hyperbolic optimization. Too many cross-links, too many strong tags. You are just trying to game our system. They're probably looking for the same type of thing. Gateways and content farms are producing lots of content just on each topic, hoping that if you use a central topic that links out to more descriptive topics, say you link out to more descriptive topics, and you're building this pyramid of content. That's how content farms were built. Originally, when Panda was released, it was called the Farmer Update because it was targeting content farms. Same type of situation here. AI generated. Back when Panda came out, they were looking to find content that was created through spinner technologies, which would take a sentence, swap out some synonyms, shuffle the words around. It was garbage, it was gibberish, and that's what Panda looked for. This is probably now looking at the top AI systems that create SEO content and using some of those patterns to target exactly what those outputs are. Aggregators. If you pull a lot of data from a lot of different sources to say, here's the master data on, Black Adam, then and all you've done is pull IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and everything else, they're probably going to say, there's nothing unique here. Thanks for trying with the user experience. Anyone could have done this with enough time and scrapers. So they don't want to reward that anymore. And of course, if you have a high bounce rate, watch that. That's likely going to be part of the site white penalty.
Cool. So a couple examples of sites that were helped and were hurt by a helpful content update. So this is an example of an apparel site that saw a just over 17-point lift in organic sessions, excluding the homepage because they're a well-known brand, so a lot of their traffic to the homepage is branded. So before the update, they were up 11% year over year. Then after the update, they were seeing a 28% year over year lift with that helpful content update. And so what did they do to be rewarded for this? We've really focused on unique content for their site over the past year and a half or so. With over 300 pages written, there's been new page creation based on on-site searches, product selections, seasonal content refreshes for new products that come in, new trends that come out of stock, as well as just index health. So making sure that there's no keyword cannibalization between new category pages that are created, and that with each blog that's being written, there's no overlap there. And then making sure that new pages that are rolled out have enough product selection that make it useful to a shopper. So you're not landing on a page with 5 dresses. We really want to make sure that it's a worthwhile page to be built out. And then on the flip side of that, we have a site that sells medical products that are requiring a prescription. We kind of think that the update might have had a little bit more weight to sites that are those your money or your life sites that Google outlines in their quality rater guidelines. So because this is a product that requires a prescription, we think that the update may have hit them a little bit harder. So you can see clearly here, they were up 116% over last year leading up to the update, and then dropped to 40% year over year. So they're still up, but that's a pretty big loss in their growth rate. And then in the most recent weeks, they were down to just up almost 30% year over year. So clear correlation between the rollout of that update and their traffic drop. What we think happened here is that we saw, again, the prescription, the your money or your life related update. While it focused on their e-commerce pages, they saw drops across the site. So it wasn't just their category pages, their blog pages and information pages were hit as well. When we dig into the performance of their category pages, we found a lot of times that competitors that had a larger selection of the same product were outranking them. So it could have been part content, but it also could have been, you know, if a user is looking for a very broad keyword, they want to go to a site that has a broad selection as they're trying to figure out what they want to purchase within that category. And then the last item too is just that the blog might be an issue. We saw a lot of overlapping topics, whereas new posts were created when maybe old ones could have been refreshed with new information. And just the formatting is kind of off. You know, there wasn't a lot of bullet lists or headers or jump links with kind of that index for the longer blog posts. So a lot of cleanup that could be done there that we think would qualify this as unhelpful content for them. All right, so it is October 19th. It's a little close to the holiday preparedness, and hopefully these are some things that you guys have been thinking about and already done last year. But if not, we'll do a quick refresher on some things you can put into place now to get ready for holiday if Q4 is a busy shopping season for you. So first is just seasonal sale pages. Last year, Google came out with recommendations for how to create these sale pages for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So when people are searching for Black Friday deals, you know, you're eligible to come up in these banners within mobile search. So you want to create a landing page for your Black Friday deals, Black Friday 2022 deals, you know, maybe add in something like kitchen supplies or whatever you sell. And then have a banner image at the top of that page, which is going to be what pulls into this rich result. And then they just want to have a little bit of a description in the content. So what is qualified for the sale, how long does the sale last, that kind of information. And then add those pages to your footer, or if you have a sale flyout at the top, we're recommending clients start to put those into the top nav within the next week or so. And although it seems early and you may not have products to actually put into your Black Friday deals page, just put a placeholder banner on there that says coming soon, or then add some links to other categories like shop our sale collection for deals now. You know, just start to get Google crawling that Black Friday page or Cyber Monday page, just so they know that it's there. Once your products go live, just submit that to Google for indexing and Search Console, just to know that they're going to pick it up sooner. So that would be a seasonal sale page recommendation. The next recommendation, coupon pages. If you don't already have a coupon page, it's one of the quickest and easiest ways to get some traffic. So you think about people going to your, like it's people who are already on your site, so it's not net new, but if people are going to your site, making it all the way to checkout, and they're like, oh, let's see if we can get a deal on this product, they're going to search your brand name, they're going to search for coupon. And do you want them to just come back to your site and figure out what deals you have, or do you want to go to like an affiliate coupon site and use a code that's there and maybe not legit? So create a coupon page. You can create a really good experience for people, maybe get them to sign up for your email or SMS list, and just kind of keep them on your site, let them know that these are legitimate pages, link to it in your footer. We usually see pretty good results to just kind of take over listings from like Retail Me Not and things like that with those types of pages. A couple of best practices here that you'll get when you get this handout. Just have your brand name, coupons and promo codes as the title tag, something simple like that. Link it from the footer. You know, throw some content in there. It doesn't have to be just like all about coupons, but you can have a couple different paragraphs talking about signing up for the email list, you know, why you should get like the first deals, and then, you know, how else they can save through your company if you have a rewards program or something like that. All of that's great content to put on the coupon page. And then just make sure that you have any of your current codes linked to sale pages, things like that. All right, and then holiday specific pages. So this can either be for category pages that maybe are high sellers around the holidays and you have them up year round. In those cases, you want to add maybe just a paragraph talking about holiday shopping, Christmas, those types of deals in case people are looking for those sorts of gifts, and just make sure you update it in January. Or if it's like, Christmas gifts, I don't know if you're selling popcorn or something online and you are selling popcorn gifts, add 2022, add gifts, add for holiday, like just make that experience, like have people tied to the season, and just make sure you update it in January so that you have the right year. For blog posts, if it's a high performer last year, or if you're updating your gift guide, or if you're updating trend posts or something like that, just make sure you're also updating that publish date. Again, update the year, make it current, make it applicable to the year and the season, and that's obviously going to align with that helpful content. So another quick audit that you can do on your product pages. So if you've ever read Google's 160 plus page document of their quality grader guidelines, in there are some tips on a high quality shopping page. So 4 things that they call out specifically as a high quality e-commerce product shopping page. One is authentication. So have manufacturer's product specs that match what the manufacturer has, as well as original product information. So don't just copy the manufacturer's description, add something unique in there to have your site stand out from others. That's Panda 101. Reviews, have a high count of user reviews on product pages, especially for your top products. If you have a top seller that doesn't have very many reviews, maybe that's a good time to do an email campaign and just kind of ask people, past purchasers, to review that item to get that review count up for holiday. People are going to want to know how the product performs, especially if they're buying it as a gift. So that social proof is really going to be helpful for your conversion rates as well. You want to have purchasing info right on your product page. So have your shipping and returns information. It doesn't have to be the full statement, but a quick summary, and then maybe a link out to your shipping and returns page. But having that on the page keeps people from having to bounce back and forth between that full information page and the product page. And then lastly, lots of media. People want to see, front, back, side views of products. If you have a video of the product or any sort of 3D images of the product, all of that stuff is great. Put your social posts, like connect your social accounts to the product so that people can see like real people using the items, if it's applicable. All that stuff is really just going to help the user experience and conversion rates too.
Yeah, and just one thing, it's a great time to be prepared for holiday surge, but if you happen to be asking yourself, what else should I focus on if I want to get the most, not just the holiday specific traffic, but just the most out of my website? Typically, we see 2 things. When I say typically, I mean people come to us, someone has been managing their SEO for years, or lots of different teams have been managing, and we audit what's going on. First most common thing that we see is that we run a tool like SEMrush, and we'll see that the website ranks for 10,000 keywords. Okay, but on page 1 of Google, the page 1 rankings in SEMrush, out of 10,000, maybe only 500 of those are on page 1. In other words, 5% of the keywords are making it on page 1. We know it's possible to have somewhere around a 25% of your keywords on page 1, which we call the relevance differential. Are you communicating to Google in a way that they really understand the topic for your main top navigation pages? They look at the topic, there's depth of content, there's a diversity of keywords, there's diversity of usage of keywords in the titles, the H, the body, all the reasons why you would get a lot of points and not a lot of penalties. And then it just kind of settles at about 25%. Because I would probably estimate 95+% of e-com still doesn't do this right. So most of you, if you're not our client, probably the easiest thing you can do right now is set a schedule, tag someone on your team to take 20 to 50 of your top navigation pages that are getting all this immense crawl authority from the top navigation and write 300 to 400 words of content that use 10, 15 keywords that are closely related to that topic. Use the most important keywords in the title and the H, and the rest in the body. Just get something, and you will likely see more free traffic in Q4, especially if you need that boost. The second thing is, I don't know why this keeps happening, but people come to us and we look just maybe 5 years back at all their rankings, and sometime in the last 4 or 5 years, they did a replatforming and their rankings went like this. And they just kind of accepted it over time and no one fixed it. It's been like 4 years and it happens all the time. So just normally we're looking at websites where they're 60% down from their peak from an event that was exactly the same time that they replatformed, and they just messed it up. And we go back and we say, okay, let's find old pages that probably weren't through or redirected properly. 301 redirects, they're all 404s now. Let's see, maybe you rewrote your titles or you gutted out your content. It's so easy to figure stuff out. But the majority of you, if you're just trying to get that nice boost that's going to carry you all the way past Q4 as well, content for your top nav, correct that replatforming botched incident. So part 4, just really quick, using SEO to ease Google Ads costs. There's a really strong connection between if you do SEO well, then your costs on PPC will actually be lower. Everyone here pretty much is e-com, right? So in e-com, we all got used to using smart shopping. Smart shopping was pretty awesome. And then all of a sudden, Google said, no more smart shopping. Everything's going to Performance Max, which is just better than smart shopping. It's better that it finds people in smart shopping that have high intent and then starts to nurture and stalk them until they're ready to buy. And it finds them when they're on Gmail, on YouTube, anywhere. And for pennies per click, they just get these additional nurturing events. It's great. Love it. But we're all getting used to what the feature set actually is. Most people don't even realize you're supposed to have a lot of Performance Max campaigns, not just one. But, you'll learn in time. One of the little features that people don't realize in Performance Max is by default, you use a term called final URL expansion. Final URL expansion means that you're not telling Google in the scope of the Performance Max campaign which URLs on your website they can actually bring your customers to. Unless you turn off this default, then you are using something different, which is basically you told Google, hey Google, you can send any one of our customers to any page on our website, have at it. And theoretically, it's probably really great, but not if you haven't done your work. So not only does Google find the URL, but as of October 1st, now we're just a few weeks in, they scrape the page for the title, the H, and all the snippets of content, and they use those snippets to write the ad copy. That's the new part of final URL expansion. So you have to feed Google the snippets that they will use. So be cognizant of that when you're optimizing your titles, H tags, and body. You can use bullets and short, truncated statements that you think would be punchy for ads because Google will snap those up. And you probably want to exclude URLs that you don't think are helpful in the journey at all. If they're just way too high top of funnel in the buying journey, or you wrote it to be cheeky, but it's really not helpful. It's actually all in. It's a really great time, not just because of helpful content update, but now with this reinforcing it, now you're going to pay a penalty kind of for Google Ads if you don't also fix that. Just get rid of your unhelpful content. Don't let it be in circulation for Google Ads or for a rich penalty through helpful content. You can have a better time to just go in and do fall time spring cleaning. The other thing that we wanted to cover on coordinating PPC and SEO is, when you pay for a keyword in search ads and you've optimized for the keyword on the destination page, you pay less for that keyword. Quality score goes up, so your ad rank is higher, your ad rank score, which is the score that gives you the top position. If you don't have great quality, don't have great relevance, you can still take the top position. You just have to pay for the gap. You pay higher cost per click because you're not optimized. So well optimized, you pay less per click. Not optimized for the keyword, you pay more per click. So cool thing is, for all of our clients, we build this massive data warehouse that is optimized and fed in real time. We bring in all the data from Search Console, analytics, ranking tools like SEMrush, your Google Ads, etc., into one system, and we synthesize the data so that we can look at it the way we want to look at it. And when we are looking at, for example, the impressions per keyword, the organic ranking status being above the fold or below the fold, the current cost per click of a keyword, we're actually looking at a few different sources of data worth of info per keyword. And now we get to run some really cool diagnostics. Let's find all the keywords that are too high cost per click that we just need to optimize now. Because we're not ranking for it, we didn't optimize for it, we're paying a high cost per click. Find the list, write those pages. Or what about keywords that we're ranking so well for? Maybe we don't need to pay for it anymore. Let's just take a break. That'd be great too. Or if you want to dominate an entire SERP, why don't you optimize for it? Pay for it for search, pay for it for product ads, get your product structure data in there, be the most dominant force in the SERPs. All that can only be coordinated if the data is linearly assigned in one technology like this. Which brings me to some closing thoughts and a quick offer for everyone. We've been doing this for 25 years, but we try to create a real difference in e-commerce, and it starts with one client at a time. The way that we have been able to do what we think is a better job for our clients is by focusing on 3 disciplines. One, if we're going to manage a platform like organic SEO or Google Ads or Meta or Amazon or conversion, we want that to be a siloed group of individuals. Everyone in that group specializes their entire career on that particular platform. So we can get deep and knowledgeable about all the levers, all the nuance that we talked about in SEO today. You don't get that from a generalist. You get that from an SEO expert. So we structured our actual platform specializations that way. Separate from that is a team that coordinates across the channels. That's our strategy team. They're being thoughtful about how to coordinate this stuff together. And our tech team is thinking about how do I pull all this data together, organize it for strategic purpose. So again, a lot of it hinges on that wonderful data warehouse. When the data warehouse brings data together, then we start to do some fun things. For example, we tag for any channel, any campaign that is meant to drive awareness, that is tagged as an awareness campaign. Anything that's supposed to be for search, for non-branded, that's consideration. Anything targeting your past clicks until they convert, that's conversion. Anything targeting your past customers is loyalty. And by organizing in a channel agnostic way all of your advertising, we can now see what the performance is, where we overperform, where we can expand volume. And by learning whether your customers are brand sensitive, meaning their behavior changes once they know your name, or not. If they don't change their behavior, you're a search-based journey. And we have certain distributions of allocation and investment across the different stages. But if your customers do change their habits once they know your name, then we have a different type of strategy to help you grow as fast as possible. We also encourage our clients to let us segment out our targets and tag each of our campaigns based on segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, whatever it is. And when a segment becomes large enough, then we can even start to target it with different messages as an A/B test. The first cross-channel holistic A/B testing process that has ever been introduced into e-commerce. We also evoke the wisdom of consumer behavior. In consumer behavior, we can kind of boil down what gets someone to buy. Just get the action out of them. There's only 4 ways to get someone to act. And understanding your customers, your brand, that particular segment, we can start to map the modalities and evoke the right type of response. We've also changed the way that our customers look at customer lifetime value. Don't wait 5 years to calculate your customer lifetime value. Let's calculate it in the first 30 days, in the first 60 days, and we'll do a fresh batch every 6 months to see whether the first 30-day experience is getting better and better. These innovations matter. Because of attribution being broken on Facebook, iOS 14, everyone hates it. But social does create a phantom impact, doesn't it? So now we ingest 1 year's worth of data from Meta, Google, Amazon, and we run these models to find out how the attribution is actually playing, not what the platforms are telling us, but what the data is actually telling us when all the data is present. And then we can figure out how fast you can increase your ad spend without losing any efficiency. We've made innovations on the SEO side. So when we rewrite a page of content, we first have API tool check all the keywords you currently rank for. We don't want to de-optimize. And then all the smart keywords your competitors rank for that are related. We bring those together. So now we are getting new ideas and we're not de-optimizing. A lot of the times when people write new content, they actually lose keywords because they forget to check what keywords are you ranking for. Now, we have 10 minutes for live SEO audits, but just wanted to see who's interested in a free tete-a-tete conversation where we can talk a little bit about your business. What we would recommend is a cross-channel marketing plan to get you as much growth as possible. What kind of technology we think we can bring to bear. Go deep dive into SEO if we need to. We don't charge for this because if we do this right for the right clients, then we're going to have a very, very long-term partnership. So before we get to some live SEO, let's just see what the questions box is giving us. And by the way, folks, if you want us to do a quick 1-minute audit, 2-minute audit of your website, go to the questions box and say, just tell us what your website is. We'll do a super quick, high level, what are we seeing? But in the meanwhile, let's get some of these questions. Are we going to receive a handout? Yep, everyone's getting a handout. Guillaume asked, is it good or bad to write content for SEO, incorporating high volume keywords, etc.? And you said, ignore my previous question, you answered it. But the real answer there is that you do need to be aware of the keywords you're trying to encourage Google to recognize what keywords you're supposed to get a score for. But you need to be very aware that 99+% of content gets penalized. You're just trying to get to that 1% perfect, exactly talk about the topic the way Google wants without giving them anything to give you a penalty.
I can take
Rebecca,
this one.
do you see Eric's question? Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, Eric asks, with a recommendation of 300, 400 words of content for category pages, is there concern of pushing the products below the fold? Yeah, so we've run some tests on this. Typically for most clients, we just actually recommend the bulk of that content go and live below the products on the category pages. However, we have run SEO split tests on product or content location on category pages, and it does perform better when there's at least some content above the fold and above the product. So typically our best recommendation for splitting that is to have like a couple sentences, like 1 or 2 above the products. It's a super high level overview of what's on the page, and then underneath you can go into more details about the products and the collection itself, your expertise, why they should purchase from you, things like that. Let's see, next question is, with the new updates, how is Google using ADA requirements to determine the value or ranking of pages? Really good question. So to my knowledge, they haven't explicitly linked ADA to a ranking factor, but my gut tells me because so much of that you can get through like the Lighthouse audits and things like that, which is a Google tool. I would say like as close as you can get to, well, you need to be ADA compliant anyways, but as close as you can get to a high score within like the Lighthouse accessibility ranking, like those are the things that Google can automatically check on their own. So start there. I mean, the other thing is, you know, what's accessible for like people that require that need the ADA, you know, what's accessible for them is going to be good for everyone. So, you know, you're really just improving your site overall by making those updates and to make it easier for users to navigate and crawl and access products on your site and things like that. So short answer, not a direct tie. Long answer is don't ignore it and maybe start looking through that Lighthouse report and checking off some of those accessibility scores. And then the last question is, would you say these techniques all apply to sites created via WordPress, Squarespace, etc.? Should we use their internal SEO guides and metrics, or is it more important to stick directly to what Google recommends? I would stay more on the Google side of things. I think for, you know, smaller businesses, you'll probably get what you need out of like WordPress and Squarespace, but as you're looking to grow, there's a lot of limitations, and even thinking about like the SEO plugins that you can get in WordPress, those tend to lean a little more like algorithmic and a little more, I guess, robotic in some of their recommendations. So I would say, you know, as a starting point, it'll get you to a good spot, but then from there you want to start thinking, you know, a little more along the lines of what Google's recommending to users.